Thank you, Riley.
Steven, is it the same order as the same
Yeah. Who are you? So now we have Lindsay, Ella, Adam, Alexander, and Tracy. Thank you, Mike. Yes. You guys ready? Mm-hmm.
For thousands of years, society has made it hard to be a woman and to be happy. Sometimes the responsibilities and limitations can be too much to bear. Tulips by Sylvia Plath. The tulips are too excitable. It's winter here. Look how white everything is, how quiet, how snowed in. I'm learning peacefulness, lying by myself quietly. As the light lies on these white walls, this bed, these hands, I'm nobody. I have nothing to do with the explosions. I have given my name and my day clothes to the nurses, my history to the anesthetist, and my body to surgeons. They have propped my head between the pillow of the sheet cuff, like an eye between two white lids. It will not shut. Stupid people, it has to take everything in. The nurses pass and pass, they're no trouble. Doing things with their hands, one just the same as another, so it is impossible to tell how many there are. My body is a pebble to them. They tend it as water. Tend to the pebbles, it must run over, smoothing them gently. They bring me numbness. And their bright needles, they bring me sleep. Now I have lost myself. I am sick of baggage. My patent leather overnight case is like a black pillbox. My husband and child smiling at me at the family photo. Their smiles catch onto my skin like smiling hooks. I let them slip. A 30-year-old cargo boat stubbornly hanging on to my name and address. They've swabbed me clear of my loving associations. Scared and bare on the green plastic pillow trolley. I watch my tea set, my bureau of linens, my books sink out of sight, and the water went over my head. I'm a nun now. I've never felt so pure. I didn't want any flowers. I only wanted to lie with my hands turned up and be utterly empty. How free it is. You have no idea how free. The peacefulness is so big it dazes you. And it asks nothing. A name tag, a few trinkets. It is what the dead close on, finally. I imagine them, shutting their mouths on it like a communion tablet. The tulips are too red in the first place. They hurt me. Even through the gift paper, I could hear them breathe. Lightly through their white swaddling like an awful baby. Their redness talks to me. It corresponds. They're subtle. They seem to float, though they weigh me down, upsetting me with their sudden tongues and their color, a dozen red lead singers round my neck. Nobody watched me before. Now I'm watched. The tulips turn to me, the window behind me, where once a day the light slowly widens and slowly thinnens. I see myself, flat, ridiculous, a cut paper shadow between the sun and the eye of the tulips. I have no face. I've wanted to efface myself. The vivid tulips eat my oxygen. Before they came, the air was calm enough, coming and going, breath by breath, without any fuss. Then the tulips filled it up like a loud noise. Now the air snags and eddies round them the way of a river, snags and eddies round a sunken red-breast engine. They concentrate my attention. That was happy, playing and resting without committing itself. The walls also seem to be warming themselves. The tulips should be behind bars like dangerous animals. They're opening like the mouth of some great African cat. And I'm aware of my heart. It opens and closes. Its bowl of red blooms out of sheer love for me. The water I taste is warm and salt like the sea, and comes from a country far away as hell. The pain of being a woman can be passed down from generations, and sometimes they feel that it is too much to bear, and they have to fix and break the world all on their own. Worried by Ellen Bass. You always think the worst is going to happen, Janet says, as we walk with our son along the Amsterdam canals. What do you think, he's going to fall in and drown? I worry. All over the world, it comes to me easily. Formed slowly through childhood like stalactites in a cave. My mother worried to keep going. A sick husband, children she wanted everything for. I call her distraught. Janet's been dizzy for days. In the ER, they inked small X's on the parchment map of her skin. Doctors at a conference in Paris, and I'm afraid there's a blood clot near her brain. Go by plan, she says. I'm not going to die. My mother tells me I learned it from her. Have panic. She was 13, oldest of 5, when her father left. My grandmother worried to keep food on the table. Every week, she'd board the bus to buy clothes, children's goods, socks to sell at her corner store. When she didn't climb down from the 6 o'clock winter, it was already dark. My mother sat at the window, tears rumpling her face, praying, let her come home. And in Russia, when my father was a baby, his mother carried him and his 2 brothers to the border, hiding in the forest undergrowth. My father crying, she heard boots bite through the crusted snow. Some women smothered infants. What must have gone through their minds when the steps hesitated before turning away? Janet doesn't think about what might happen. She thinks about what is. That I carry dread on my shoulders like a knapsack, like the extra pounds my grandmother wanted me to gain. She'd read about a girl in a plane crash. All she had to eat was snow. After generations of pain and difficulty, women learned to take charge of their own destiny and not anyone else. No Prince Needed by Jennifer L. Betts. Princess Eva waited so long. She wondered if the fairy had been wrong. Trapped in the castle was she, how could this be? The witch cackled, he'll never come, the prince is just a bum. Princess Eva just sighed sadly. Maybe she didn't want this so badly. Looking out the window, she was tired of being limbo. When the witch went to sleep, the princess decided to creep. Right down the stairs, who cares? She thought with a smile. I'm leaving this castle, princess style. Who needs a prince? Thought she. I've just got to rely on me. Women go through so much in their lives, and once they have learned to live their lives and love themselves, they feel true satisfaction. Phenomenal Woman by Maya Angelou. Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me. I walk into a room just as cool as you please, and to a man or fellow stand, fall down on their knees. They swarm around me like a hive of honeybees. I say, it's the fire in my eyes and the flash of my teeth, the swing in my waist and the joy in woman, that's me. Men themselves have wondered what they see in me. They try so much, but they can't touch my inner mystery. When I try to show them, they say they still can't see. I say, it's in the arch of my back, the sun of my smile, the ride of my breast, the grace of my style. I'm a woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me. Now you understand why my head's not bowed. I don't shout or jump about or have to talk real loud. When you see me passing, it ought to make you proud. I say, it's in the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hand, the need for my care. Because I'm a woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me. Ella? Injustice is an ever-present problem that has rampaged through all of our history books. But how often do we express the feelings we conjure when witnessing injustice and hatred firsthand? Georgia Kobos explores this with a teacher and her students in Suffer Little Children. Pride runs cold down my street as passion gasps for its meat upon an empty belly. Love here is oft relegated to a place where time continually denies it. Pride runs cold as they run down the streets at night. Wild. Wild but free? Never. Wild and chained to grunts and curses, to hate, superstition, to cold and hunger. Wild and chained to an evil sort of barter. You're so pretty, give me. And love is oft relegated to distant hills and prettiness when Manuel smells, Victoria wisecracks, and Sophia purses her lips and smiles at the little boy she knows will be around in a couple of years. Pride and love are lost within the yellow cumulative folder, the one which limits and relegates my boys to hoods and slaves, and my girls to early ugliness and pain. Pride is gone forever from a well-equipped science lab, when the young scientist cannot read. From a geography shelf, from a globe, a map, a bowl of flowers, when their only purpose is destruction, and the consequence is silent and unexplained punishment. Pride runs cold as Andre scribbles their names upon a wall with a broken window. They broke it. Once in, they wrote the cry, "Know me, I am someone." Pride runs cold as Armida utters obscenities perfectly at those who love her with her poor, cleft palate. She cannot stand being loved. Pride is pilfered from a teacher told, "Make haste, keep them busy," or asked, "Will they be ready? No? Push them up." New books for them. Pride runs cold when Julia screams to me each welcome Monday, "My mother says to whip me," and then bemoans the fact that I don't. Pride runs cold when each verdict given by them, each judgment solicited from them, each idea of justice and love and affection to them is a swat, a slap, a denial of love. And horror takes its place when the teacher knows that it's really all they know. Pride is denied and love is lost as children stumble through a maze of English to hate and deny it. Pride is lost as the glories of the Spanish and the brilliance of Cristobal Colon's Indians are lost to their children. Pride becomes shame as the tones of a mother tongue learned from a lullaby or consejo are wrested and snatched from babes who would use them. Pride does run cold at the sight of generations of injustice, a slew of meaningless lives, unused and unwanted abilities. How many of us actually take a stand against injustice? How many of us would be a bystander to the hatred as to not cause trouble? How many of us would look onto a scene of injustice, waving the window but staying silent? How many of us would say that they were a witness? Framed by Adrian Rich. Winter twilight. She comes out of the laboratory, last class of the day, a pile of notebooks slung on her knapsack, coat zipped high against the already swirling evening sleet. The wind is wicked, and the bus is slower than usual. On her mind is organic chemistry and issues of next month's friends, and will it be possible to bypass the professor with the coldest eyes to get a reference for graduate school, and whether any of them, even those who see her, can see her looking at her, a biochemist or a marine biologist, which of the faces can she trust to see her at all, either today or in any future? The buses are worm slow in the quickly gathering dark. I don't know her. I'm standing up somewhere, just outside the frame of all of us, trying to see. At her back, the newly finished building suddenly looks like shelter, as glass doors, lighted halls, presumably heat. The wind is wicked. She throws a glance down the street, sees no one's coming, and runs up the newly constructed steps into the newly constructed hallway. I am standing all this time just beyond the frame, trying to see. She runs her hands through the crystal sleets about to melt on her hair. She shifts the weight of the books on her back. It isn't warm here exactly, but it's out of the wind. Through the glass door panel, she can watch for the bus through the thickening weather. Watching, so she is not watching for the white man who watches the building, who has been watching her. This is Boston, 1979. I'm standing somewhere at the end of the frame, watching the man, we are both white, who watches the building, so I'm going to move on, get out of the hallway. I can hear nothing, but because I am not supposed to be present, but I can see her gesturing out towards the street at the windbreak curve. I see her drawing her small body up against the implied edges. The man goes away. Her body is different now. It is holding together with more than a hint of fury and more than a hint of fear. She's smaller, thinner, more fragile looking than I am. But I am not supposed to be there. I am just outside the frame of this action when the anonymous white man returns with a white police officer. Then she starts to leave into the windbreak tonight, but already the policeman is going to work. The handcuffs are on her wrist. He's throwing her down the stairs. I am unable to hear a sound of all this. All that I know is what I can see from this position. There's no soundtrack to go with this. And I understand at once it is meant to be in silence that this happens. In silence that he pushes her into the car, banging her head. In silence that she cries out. In silence that she tries to explain she is only waiting for a bus. In silence that he twists the flesh of her thigh with his nails. In silence that her tears begin to flow. That she pleads with the other policeman as if he could be trusted to see her at all. In silence that in the precinct she refuses to give her name. In silence that they throw her into the cell. In silence that she stares him straight in the face. In silence that he sprays her in her eyes with mace. In silence that she sinks her teeth in his hand. In silence that she is charged with trespass, assault, and battery. In silence that the sleet-swept corner her bus passes without stopping and goes on. In silence. What I'm telling you is told by a white woman. They will say it's never there. I say, I am there. Thank you.
There's always been a stigma when it comes to depression and mental illness, and it is common that it is hard for one to explain to their loved ones the feelings that they go through. Explaining my depression to my mother, a conversation by Sabrina Bennett. Mom, my depression is a shapeshifter. One day it is as small as a firefly in the palm of a bear. The next, it's the bear. On those days, I play dead until the bear leaves me alone. I call the bad days the dark days. Mom says, try lighting candles. When I see a candle, I see the flesh of a church, the flicker of a flame, sparks of a memory younger than noon. I'm standing beside her open casket. It is the moment I learned every person I ever know will someday die. Besides, Mom, I'm not afraid of the dark. Perhaps that's part of the problem. Mom says, I thought the problem was that you can't get out of bed. I can't. Anxiety holds me a hostage inside of my house, inside of my head. Mom says, where did anxiety come from? Anxiety is the cousin visiting from out of town depression felt obligated to bring to the party. Mom, I am the party. Only I'm at a party I don't want to be at. Mom says, why don't you try to go to actual parties? See your friends. Sure, I make plans, but I don't want to go. I make plans because I know I should want to go. I know sometimes I would have wanted to go. It's just not that fun having fun when you don't want to have fun, Mom. You see, Mom, each night insomnia sweeps me up in his arms, dips me in the kitchen in the small glow of the stove light. Insomnia has this romantic way of making the moon feel like perfect company. So Mom says, try counting sheep. But my mind can only count reasons to stay awake. So I go for walks, but my stuttering kneecaps clank like silver spoons holding strong arms with loose wrists. They ring in my ears like clumsy church bells, reminding me I'm sleepwalking on an ocean of happiness I cannot baptize myself in. Mom says, happiness is a decision. But my happiness is a pin-pricked egg. My happiness is a fever that will break. Mom says I am so good at making something out of nothing, and then flat out asks me if I am afraid of dying. No, I'm afraid of living. Mom, I am lonely. I think I learned that when Dad left, how to turn the anger into lonely, the lonely into busy. So when I tell you I've been super busy lately, I mean I've been busy falling asleep watching SportsCenter on the couch to avoid confronting the empty side of my bed until my bones are the forgotten fossils of a skeleton-sunken city, my mouth a boneyard of teeth broken from biting down on themselves, the hollow auditorium of my chest swoons with echoes of a heartbeat. But I am a careless tourist here. I will never truly know everywhere I've been. Mom still doesn't understand. Mom, can't you see that neither can I? How does someone who's grown up their whole life surrounded by their faith being the answer to everything know something that has absolutely nothing to do with their faith or their religion? My mother explains my depression to me by R.J. Walker. There was a great storm at sea. The disciples were afraid the ship would get swallowed up. Now read what Jesus said. Read it, he said. Why are ye fearful, lo ye of little faith? Then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea. There's a great calm. See, she says, see, don't you feel better? And she does not know that I accidentally tried to drown myself accidentally on purpose for the second time today, but that was just too much to say, so instead I say, no, I am not Jesus. I have depression, not a storm. And she says, we all know doctors just make that up in order to sell pills. We all know you just made this whole thing up to get out of going on your church mission. You don't have depression, you just don't have enough faith. Read what it says about the two men possessed with devils, they say. If thou cast us out, suffer us to go into the herd of the swine. And Jesus said, go. And then sends them into the swine, and they drown. They drown. That's why it's okay. As she holds my head under the water and says, because it wasn't you. You've got a devil in you. So we've got to get it out so you can stop with all that limping and storming yourself to death and go back on your mission to teach them people in Texas about the Jesus who saved you from the devil you got in you. Yeah, it's the truth. The truth, I know it to be the truth. The truth is a drowned pig, a ship at sea. You are his tool, RJ. Jesus doesn't let his tools rust. Not like your father, because we all know I didn't give this to you, this sad boy disease that you made up, this devil you got in you with his cigarettes and Corona, so we're going to divorce this devil out of you. Yeah, it worked for me. And I say, I don't want to be Jesus' drowned pig. I say, I want to die, but fail to want myself to death. But she comes close when she says, you will go back on your mission. You will fulfill your purpose. Kill the parts of yourself that are yourself. I said, I'm trying. She says, you are the Antichrist. Jesus said so. Keep reading. Look what he says. He says, your son is a broken ship at sea, and he keeps trying to scuttle himself because he hates me. He hates God. He hates you. How could you do this to me? After everything I've done, I taught you how to be a blade, so why are you cutting yourself? How dare you hurt me with your hurt? How dare you kill Jesus with your killing? He died your death to death, and now you can't Die so you can't get away? And they say, in all the voices of my suicide attempts, each one a pig, a shipwreck, drowned at sea. What have we to do with thee, O Son of God? Art thou come hither to torment us before the time? Then she hands me the whole violent oceans and says, Go, then, you vile thing. I will not have you in this house that is not your home. I will not have you die in this coffin that is your room, because it was never your room. All this was mine. It was mine, and I gave it to you, you wretched beast. I cannot bear the sight of you, my son, who has eaten my son and wears his bones. I take back my mother, but will give you stones. Now go forth into the swines and drown. Go! She waits for me to respond, but I have too much to say. And I manage to say it all in a single word. Goodbye. Thank you.
Admittedly, I struggled to understand the poem I'm about to present. It seemed that every time I read it, it changed meanings. I searched for a concrete answer and found none, which forced me to realize that much like my own life, things are often more complicated than they seem and more complex than can be solved. Like the speaker in Diane Mikowski's Virtuoso Literature written in 4 hands, I too have a passion for it. My love of dance was blocked by higher education and fear, and the speaker's love for the piano suffers a similar fate. In trying to find meaning with this piece, I found myself instead. Memory relies on emotion, and all the part of the mind does. A night near New Year's Eve in New York City, I do not remember if it was raining, but it was either cold or damp. Other than the fact you like some of the tracking mud on your freshly scrubbed kitchen floors. And my life was falling apart. That is, the man I loved was running away from me as if I were a leaking ceiling or a broken step. The key, the morning, the shooting one on a party in a prosperous uptown apartment is something to do. Voices, spaces, fragrant and effulgent like gardenias in a hothouse tree, forced in a December house. The story of that night is the story of waiting. The story of waiting for a hand which was not there to touch me on the shoulder and say, the story of waiting for a carpenter in a land where there are no more trees. The story of waiting. Except for one moment, which I remember like an after image from a bright light, a man, an old friend, writer, who sat down at the piano. He was drunk and nostalgic and bending over the keys of the winds of the willow, his spell by starlight. Here in this company of intellectuals and poets, he forgot where he was. He forgot the rain and evening of talk and plays if he were some 1940s piano bar. Some none of us did words to. Here in this company of intellectuals and poets, he played Stella by starlight. This man, who read Blake and Reich and Vallejo, who listened to Bruckner in his spare time, who did not believe in popular art, even Bob Dylan or the Rolling Stones, who we all listened to, he sat there, referenced, played Stella by starlight. I remember that part of the night better than anything else. Though I later went to jazz club and heard the exciting Pharoah Sanders, though I later sat desperately with a man who asked me why I was faithful to that man I loved, the one who wanted nothing to do with me. I couldn't answer. Couldn't answer because the simple answer, the true answer, was one I could not believe. Nothing simple, innocent anything, except poetry and music. A night near Thanksgiving in Wisconsin, snow crystals blowing through the air, an owl in the nearby woods reminds me that I am a woman alone. My mother always referred to herself as a woman alone. I learned it was desperate and terrible condition for his parents. They too have a piano in their living room, gleaming in the dark, like brandy cherries in a French bottle. Whenever my life falls apart, I'm reminded that I have not fallen apart. The owl, speaking alone in the woods, the one we never see, you know he's waiting for a small, soft creature, like a mouse, to snap the back one. That's not cool. It simply just means that he's standing life. The piano glows in Marion Walker's living room. The luster of the wood is like well-polished boots, promising the hands and feet on place to go. I feel the energy of the piano and remember my old friend, writer and teacher, who sat down so lovingly with me. That was at 7. Sun, moon, stars, minerals and fire liberate us from earth and water. And I tell them my meager story, wondering why we are not satisfied with our minds unless our hands can be our share. As if I'm story myself, I tell them of my plunge when I was 21, not to touch the piano again, to take the motion of my hands and transform it into the energy of my life. And then I confess, I feel the piano vibrating in the next room like a nova, an exploding star, one whose heat and light I cannot resist. And I go to the piano with my hands on fire and sit down and play old Chopin preludes. My fingers have not touched the keyboard in 15 years. They respond automatically. They remember patterns and rhythm. They remember chords and keys, and they do not wait. They do not wait. I touch the keyboard. I sway, bending my body like a willow tree, one which will wait for me. I don't know stuff like, but I know she'll run. And I let my friends hear me how badly I play now. I remember the pleasure of touching sun, moon, stars, that lonely apple in the woods, obsidian and ivory, the hard rocks of life. They didn't ask me why I do not play, why I think with my promise of touching the keys means so much to me. They knew I could not answer. Or rather that I could. My answer would not be an answer. Nothing is sentimental anymore, including touching music. My friend, the astronomer, cannot recognize the constellations in the sky. I'm not for science. It's true. Poetry. A night in spring, Colorado mountain air like razor cheap. My husband and I entering a mountain resort bar, a place where they serve beer in half yards, steeping in pies of the menu. The entertainment is an old lady named Gino Hattie, who plays ragtime on the piano. We sit among college boys and businessmen, and some of them say Mackay, having a birthday. Middle-aged tourists drunk and revealing aerial affairs. My mother was afraid I would marry the first man in uniform who came along. And I did. Drinking Irish coffee, thin and steamy against the night outside. Together and happy. My hands move along with the piano player's hands. She's something up. My wild Irish rose, take me out to the ball game. The exposed hammered above the keyboard, moving the way he must move every night for her. Over 50. Wear the silk green dress, on-crown style, slit up the sides, the little green hat she made herself. Thin legs like sticks under the chunky body. Spinning arms that hammer out between the members of the bourgeois keeping together. I think her playing every night having a Tuesday, a party. Wondering how she began. And when we all, always, are on stage. We shake his party. How could you bear the same song every night, with the same emotion into them? My friend and I, the man who played Stella by Starlight, and I, who was moved to confess to tease my longing for them last winter, could be moved more than once. Had he played Stella by Starlight any time in the past 10 years? Would he again in time more? I, holding my hands away from the piano as I passed like a hiker in the hot, dry mountains, refusing to open his canteen of water until he was absolutely sure he could no longer go on, taking a sip, giving the rest for another desperate time. I really not wanted to show up in winter and knowing I would not be so tempted again for at least another 15 more years. Drinking Irish coffee, listening to this music hall performer probably takes a little more money than they are rent. I arrived whiskey. Sitting with the man I love, one who cares for me, wondering how we renew our emotions each day, wondering what it means to have a simple desire with a simple response. Nothing is simple or innocent anymore, but poetry and music. When I speak, I hear voices. They get TV through over the sets, all coming to different channels. When I listen, I know how I can identify them. Often, I do not know the words of the songs, not many music pieces. When I check the word piano. My fingers reflecting. Very good. Dr. David Dead. Nothing except for innocent. Not even poetry. Thank you.
T.S. Eliot is an American poet that moved to Britain and during this time worked as an air raid warden during the German Blitzkrieg. Little Gidding itself, the church that was damaged by these air attacks in a tiny corner of England. Drafted during the London air raids and ended throughout the rest of his career, this poem explores T.S. Eliot's confrontation with death, time, and the struggles with language as an American writer that moved to Britain. Little Gidding from Four Quartets by T.S. Eliot. 1. Midwinter spring is its own season, sempiternal through sundown, suspended in time between pole and tropic. When the short day is brightest with frost and fire, the brief sun flames the ice on ponds and ditches, and moonless cold that is the heart's heat, reflecting in a watery mirror, a glare as blindness in the early afternoon, a glow more intense than blaze of branch or brazier, stirs the dumb spirit, no wind but pentecostal fire. In the dark time of the year, between melting and freezing, the soul's sap flickers. There is no earth smell or smell of living thing. This is the springtime, but not in time's covenant. Now the hedgerows blanch for an hour, the transitory blossom of snow, bloom more sudden than that of summer, neither budding nor fading, not in the scheme of generation. Where is the summer? The unimaginable zero summer. If you came this way, taking the route you'd be likely to take, from the place you'd be likely to come from, if you came this way in May time, you'd find the hedges white again. In May, with voluptuary sweetness, it would be the same at the end of the journey. If you came at night like a broken king, you came by day not knowing what you came for. It'd be the same when you leave the rough road and return behind the pigsty to the dull facade and the tombstone. And what you thought you came for is only a shell, a husk of a meaning for which the purpose breaks only when it's fulfilled, if at all. Either you had no purpose, or the purpose is beyond the end you figured and is altering to zone it. There are other places which also are the world's end, some at sea jaws, or over a dark lake in a desert or a city, but this is the nearest, in place and time, now, and in England. If you came this way, taking any route, starting from anywhere, at any time or at any season, it'll always be the same. You have to put off sense and notion. You're not here to verify, instruct yourself, inform curiosity, or carry report. You're here to kneel, where prayer has been valid, and prayer is more than an order of words, the conscious occupation of the praying mind, or the sound of the voice praying. And what the dead had no speech for when living, they can tell you, being dead. The communication of the dead is tongue with fire, beyond the language of the living. Here, the intersection of the timeless moment is England and nowhere, never and always. 2. In the uncertain hour before the morning, near the ending of the interminable night, I met one walking, loitering and hurried, and as I fixed upon the downturned face, I caught the sun look of some dead master who I'd known, forgotten, half recalled. The eyes of a familiar compound ghost, both intimate and unidentifiable. I said, the wonder that I feel is easy, yet ease is the cause of wonder. Therefore speak, I may not comprehend, may not remember. And he, I am not eager to rehearse my thoughts and theories which you have forgotten. These things have served their purpose, let them be. For last year's words belong to last year's language, and next year's words await another voice. So I find words I never thought to speak, in streets I never thought I should revisit when I left my body on a distant shore, Since our concern was speech, and speech impelled us to purify the dialect of the tribe, and urged the mind to aftersight and foresight, let me disclose the gifts reserved for age, to set a crown upon your lifetime's effort. First, the cold friction of expiring sense, without enchantment, offered no promise but bitter tastelessness of shadow fruit, as body and soul begin to fall asunder. Second, the conscious impotence of rage at human folly, and the laceration of laughter at what ceases to amuse. And last, the rendering pain of reenactment of all the things you have done and been, the shame of all things ill done and done to others' harm, which once you took for exercise of virtue, then fool's approval stings, and honor stains. From wrong to wrong, the exasperated spirit proceeds, unless restored by that refining fire, where you must move in measure like a dancer. The day was breaking, and in the disfigured street he left me, with a kind of valediction, and faded on the blowing of a horn. 3. There are 3 conditions which often look alike, yet differ completely: flourish in the same hedgerow, attachment to self and to things and to persons, detachment from selves and from things and from persons, and growing between them indifference, which resembles the others as death resembles life, being between 2 lives unflowering, between the lie and the dead needle. This is the use of memory, for liberation not less of love but expanding, of love beyond desire, and so liberation from the future as well as the past. This love of country begins as an attachment to our own field of action, and comes to find that action of little importance, but never indifferent. History may be servitude, history may be freedom. See, now they vanish, those in places with the self which, as it could love them, become renewed, transfigured in another pattern. Things bevenly, but all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. If I think again of this place, of people not wholly commendable, of not immediate kin or kindness, but of some peculiar genius, all touched by a common genius, united in the strife which divided them. If I think of a king at nightfall, of 3 men and more on the scaffold, and a few who died for guile, in other places here and abroad, and of one who died blind and quiet, why should we celebrate these dead men more than the dying? It is not to ring the bell backwards, nor is an incantation to summon the spectre of a rose. We cannot revive old factions, we cannot restore old policies, or follow an antique drum. These men, and those who oppose them, and those who they oppose, accept the constitution of silence, and unfold it in a single party. Whatever we inherit from the fortunate, we have taken from the defeated. What they had to leave us, a symbol perfected in death. And all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well, by the ground of our beseeching. 4. The dove descending breaks the air, with flame of incandescent terror, of which the tongues declare the only one discharged from sin there. The only hope, or else despair, lies in the choice of pyre, to be redeemed by fire, by fire. Who then desires the torment? Love! Love is the unfamiliar name behind the hands that wove the unintolerable shirt of flame, which human power cannot remove. We only live, only suspire, consumed by fire, or fire. 5. What we call the beginning is often the end, and to make an end is to make it a beginning. Every phrase in every sentence is an end and a beginning. Every poem an epitaph, and any action is a step to the block, to the fire, down the sea's throat, or to an illegible stone. And that is where we start. We die with the dying, so they depart, and we go with them. We are born with the dead, so they return and bring us with them. The moments of the rose and the moments of the yew tree are of equal duration. A people without history is not redeemed from time, for history is a pattern of timeless moments. So while the light fails in winter's afternoon, in a secluded chapel, history is now in England. With the drawing of this love and the voice of this calling, we shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all of our exploring will be to arrive where we started, and to know the place for the first time. The unknown, unremembered gate, when the last of earth left to discover, is that which was the beginning. At the source of the longest river, the voice of the hidden waterfall, and the children in the apple tree. Not known, because not looked for, but heard, half heard, in the stillness between 2 waves of the sea. Quick now, here, now, always, condition of complete simplicity, costing not less than everything. And all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. When the tongues of flame are unfolded, with the crown not of fire, and the fire and the rose are one. Thank you.
Okay. So I will tile scores and I'll post final round.